What is going on, everybody? Today we are taking a look at our brand new 2023 Tesla Model Y. We picked it up just over a month ago. We have around 1,500 miles on it already, I believe. And I want to give you an initial overview of this car, kind of compare it to our 2021 Model Y that has almost 50,000 miles on it. And I'll also be making some comparisons to the Tesla Model X that we owned right before we got this one, especially now with the $20,000 price drop on the Model X. It's still a lot more expensive than a Model Y, but you can get a tax credit on both this and the Model X now, and I think it's worth comparing them at least a little bit, especially from an ownership perspective and kind of talking about all that. So we're going to go through the whole car. If you have any questions that I don't get to in this video, leave them down below and I will answer them for you in the comments. So let's check out this new 2023 Tesla Model Y. What's good, bad, all the above. All right, so I'm sitting down editing this video and I'm realizing I didn't really talk about the negatives, which, you know, I'm really happy with the car, so I'm not surprised I forgot, but these are very important points. So we're gonna put it right in the beginning here so you can know exactly what I don't like about this car, the things you may not like if you pick it up. And if you have any of these, if you have a Model Y, please leave those down below so other people can see that as well. So let me pull up my list here. Okay, so the first thing, if you're new to Tesla, and you may have heard this in the news, maybe not, but you won't always get the advertised range. And why this is a negative, you know, of course, even in a gas car, if you're speeding or it's raining or snowing, you won't get the same mileage in a gas car either. But with the Tesla, it's a lot more dramatic. And even when you're driving in normal conditions where you would think, hey, you know, this should be pretty normal, I'm not speeding, the weather's good, you probably still won't get the advertised range. Next up, no ultrasonic sensors on this car and any new Teslas you're buying today. Now, there is the Tesla Vision replacement. I have a whole video about that. That's linked above at some point, but it's not as good. It's not nearly as good, especially when you're trying to do really fine maneuvering. Now, if you do pick this up and you decide to pay $12,000 for full self-driving, you will get full self-driving beta relatively quickly. It can take about a month for your first software update to come to your car. That's really any new Tesla. It can take a while for that new update to push. But even though the website states summon, smart summon, auto park, you don't get those. They still do not work without the ultrasonic sensors. And that's a huge bummer because you pay for it or you subscribe for $200 a month or whatever, and there's features you just can't get. Whereas most other cars that, you know, advertise those features, I mean, any other car that advertises the feature comes with it. So it's kind of a bummer to not have those. Smart Summon I didn't use a ton. Every once in a while in the rain, it's useful. Basic Summon I use all the time, moving in and out of the garage or just moving the car a little bit if I want to wash it or do whatever I'm going to do with it. It's a really nice feature to have. And now I don't have access to it even though this car has full self-driving on it. And then the last thing for me, for this Model Y specifically, our GPS was messed up. I am making a full video about that. That's not out yet. But basically, my GPS wasn't working, and that would mean full self-driving wasn't working. And I didn't know what was going on. I had to get mobile service out. They couldn't fix it. I had to take it in, which is like one of my whole reasons for trading the X for this, is because the X had to go in all the time. And then they found out its USB accessories are pulling too much power, I think, and messing up the GPS. So all the accessories I could use in my 2021 Model Y, I can't use the same setup in this 2023 Model Y because it messes up the GPS. So HW4 changed something, Tesla changed something that now allows those accessories to interfere with your GPS signal. So if you're getting an error on your GPS, unplug some of your USB accessories. I'm pretty sure from the glove box port, that's probably the one. But yeah, that's a bummer because you can't even freely use whatever accessories you want without it interfering with other parts of the car. But now let's head over to the car and check out a couple of special items that we got today from Temu, who is sponsoring this portion of the video. You definitely need to check out Temu's app. They have rocketed to the #1 free app in the App Store. And that's because they have great deals on their app. And right now, for September only, they're doing an anniversary sale. It's been 1 year since Temu launched. I actually ordered from Temu several times before they reached out for this sponsorship. And so I was happy to accept it. And it has some cool items there that you may not expect to find. And the #1 thing, of course, about Temu's app is the prices are insane. Not only are the prices always low, they always have special coupons going on, 90% off, all these deals going on. So in this part of the video, I'm going to show you a few things I won't show you in other parts by using some Temu products. So first of all, one of the things I miss the most about the Model X is the cooled seats. Well, guess what? There is something from Temu that can kind of help us with that. So if you've been watching, you know this is my wife's car, so I'm definitely stealing this, but this is actually a seat cooler. So you can put this right on the headrest, and then it has a button over here you can turn it on. I don't know if you can hear that. 1, 2, 3. And now this thing is cooling me off as I sit here. I cannot wait to put this in my car and use it after the gym because I miss the cooled seats in the Model X so much. And this that solves it. Not only do they have fun stuff like that, they have practical items as well. I always, when I'm at work, my car sits in the sun all day. I always use some type of sun protection for my car, and Temu has that for you as well in the form of, oh, I gotta turn it over. Nice and small, looks like an umbrella. You just extend this and bam, you put that up there and you are protected. You can put your sun visors down here, it'll hold it up. And that is it, check that out. This is perfect. String that across and blam. We're now protected from the sun. Just took a second and it stores so small you can keep it in your car all the time, which we will be doing. If you need to work on your car, you know, replacing the air filters in your Tesla is down there. Well, all of these tools right here are also from Temu at such a great price. You can use these tools to pop everything out that you need to. Blam, that comes right out. You can take all this apart and replace your air filters with everything straight from Temu, including the air filters themselves. Oh, sorry, could you not see what I was doing? This USB rechargeable flashlight can help you with that. Check it out, nice and bright. Now you can see everything that you're working on. And yes, earlier I was complaining about cooled seats, but the Model Y does have heated seats, and we can test that here with this temperature sensor, again, directly from Temu. Just a couple of bucks for this thing. I mean, the prices are ridiculous, and they have thousands of items that only cost $1. I mean, it's really unbelievable, and on top of that, they always have sales going on. They have all kinds of special deals, especially with their anniversary sale that you should be checking out now with the link in the description below. So you can see here my heated seats. They're warming up still. They're at 93 Fahrenheit. Let me show you Celsius here. 31.34. Yep, 34 Celsius. So looking really good there. All right, so starting around the outside, of course, Tesla has the reputation of panel gaps and misalignments and whatever. None of that here. Everything is solid. I have not noticed that in a Tesla for a while. And for me, it was never a big deal, not something I cared about. Although I will say our 2022 Model X that we picked up in March of 2022 did have one pretty big panel gap on it that we had to get repaired by Tesla. And they did fix it, but it looked awful. This car, I inspected it. I noticed nothing. You know, if you look up close here, you shouldn't really see anything. Maybe you'll find something that I didn't see, you know, as I'm showing you this footage, but overall fit and finish on this car is fantastic. There are no rattles anywhere on the car except for one, and it's something that Tesla, you know, something they can do about it. So let me show you that since I mentioned it. When you come on the passenger side here, if you look at the seat belt, this, as you're driving, especially on our dirt roads, but any bumpy roads, you'll get that action, and this will hit here. So Tesla really needs to put some soft material on this seat belt so that'll stop happening. I'm gonna do that myself, and if you have a rattle that you cannot find in your new Model Y, it's probably this. And that's the only rattle we have in the car. Also on the outside of the car, of course, we went with the 19-inch wheels. We don't want to sacrifice our efficiency and ride comfort and spend more for wheels. These are wheel covers from Remetrix. I have a video about that. I can link above if you want to check those out. But those are just the Geminis, and I put an aftermarket wheel cover on there to make it look a little better in my opinion. We do have the Matrix headlights, and oh my goodness, these new headlights compared to our 2021 Model Y are so much better. Not that the 2021 Model Y headlights are bad in any way, but I'll put some comparisons up here and you can see that these are brighter and they cover more of the road. I actually found a pretty cool video from the company that makes these headlights that I can insert here, and it shows how it's, you know, all these different LEDs in there, and it can turn off certain LEDs and turn on certain LEDs so you don't blind people. Now that functionality is not enabled yet. I still don't think that's legal in the US. I have no idea why, but that's how it is. But these headlights are hardware capable of all the features of, you know, like turning off for people in front of you, but keeping the bright lights on the sides of the road and stuff like that. And what's interesting about that Matrix pattern is when you look at it, I don't know if it'll come across in the pictures, but when you're driving this and it lights up, say the trees or whatever in front of you, you can actually see the pattern slightly. You can see those individual squares of light. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that you definitely can notice, and that I noticed while driving this car at night. But man, the visibility is so good, and the auto brights work fantastically now. They've been working pretty well on Teslas for a while with a recent software update in the past 6 months or so. Outside of that, of course, we have the new Hardware 4 cameras on the exterior here. I have a whole video about that I will link above. But you do get the new Hardware 4 cameras. I don't think you're getting really much benefit for those as of today compared to Hardware 3, but it's a little bit of future proofing. It's something you'll get now if you order a brand new Model Y. And then the last thing that's a huge improvement that I unfortunately can't show you that well through video is the ride comfort. Oh my goodness, whatever they did with the comfort suspension that they're calling it is magnificent. It is so much better than my 2021 Model Y over there. Now, I initially didn't really feel it, but the more I have driven this car, the more I am like, wow, this thing is so much more comfortable in all driving scenarios, over bumps, rough roads, smooth roads, everything. It's quieter in terms of road noise, just a little bit, not a huge difference, but suspension-wise is a dramatic, much more comfortable difference. I can even see it when I'm following the car. I can see that it bounces up and down differently than my car does. My car is just much rougher. So I hopped in the car and popped the Frunk for you. Not sure I can, again, really demonstrate this on video, but I did want to mention it. This Frunk feels so much easier to use. I don't know if Tesla changed something or mine's just all gunked up with dirt, or I don't know, if something else, maybe I'm just making it up in my head, but this Frunk feels so much easier to use. So let me show you this one more time. This is where the Frunk sits when you first pop it open. And watch as I open this. I will just barely lift it up. And look how it opens the rest of the way. Again, I don't know if that's different, but that's not exactly how mine is functioning or how I remember it working. And it works really well. And then closing it is kind of the same deal. So as I bring this down, you know, you're supposed to do that kind of two-handed thing. This feels so easy to bring down. It goes down here, and then that's all I have to do. Now, technically, you're supposed to put a hand on each side of the T and push it down, but I've just found that this Frunk is feeling really good and a lot easier to use. Still wish it was powered. I think it's really silly that Tesla at this point has not started powering their Frunks, but it is what it is. It feels like it's slightly easier to use to me. All right, so as we go inside the car, something kind of dumb from a long time ago I wanted to point out. You remember back in the day, this didn't used to be painted in here in the door jambs. In my 2018 Model 3, that stuff wasn't painted, and it was this huge controversy where people were kind of arguing like, it matters, it doesn't matter now. My 2021 Model Y, it's all painted in there. It's also painted here on the 2023, of course. I just wanted to point that out because I remember that as this big controversy back in the day when I started YouTube where everyone's like, check, is your stuff painted? So that's all painted in there, just so y'all know. Looking at the doors, so this is a new upgrade. It's been in Teslas for a while now, but Model 3 and Model Y come with this strip here. It looks really nice. Of course, if you get the white interior, this is a white bar. I actually really like the wood look. I don't mind the black interior at all. And then the door pockets here. So if you look here, this is a fabric material, and the lighting is actually better in the door pocket as well. But I love this fabric material. It's plastic in my 2021 Model Y, and I keep a lot of stuff in here, like recording equipment and stuff, and it rattles just because it's loose stuff that I chuck in there. Here, you can put stuff in here, and it doesn't make any noise. It is really nice. I mean, it's such a small thing, but it's such a big improvement. I'm so glad they did that. Other than that, most of the stuff is the same. My old Model Y has the acoustic glass. So you have two, glass panels here to keep everything quiet and help with insulation and everything. The doors are pretty much the same. That's all good. Going into the car, the seats feel just as comfortable. They feel very similar, although I can tell that they're a bit more comfortable because they're brand new. Not that different, but just when you first sit in them, they have a little more kind of plushiness, I guess, to them than my older car that's been driven all over the place and sat in a lot. Hopping into the car, of course, the driver's seat, other than the suspension, feeling so much more comfortable. Everything is pretty much the same here. It is good, feels good, everything works really well. I have now the Ryzen, which is coming with all new Tesla vehicles now, even a standard range, or I guess a rear-wheel drive Model 3 comes with this. But the Ryzen is a step up in performance for all of your entertainment and stuff on the center screen. Now, again, mine still works pretty well. I don't notice that much, but there are certain activities that take so much longer on my vehicle than this one. So something like loading up Netflix is it's a fraction of the time in this vehicle versus that vehicle. Daily things like flipping into reverse and the reverse camera's coming up, sure, maybe they'll take like an extra half a second or something in that car if you put them back to back, but it works fine. Loading the map is way faster in this car. It doesn't mean it's bad in the older car, but it's just something, that you notice. The Ryzen chip is really nice. It makes everything like hopping here and then going into release notes. I click that. If I want to see the release notes of this update, if I actually click it, there we go. And it loads up pretty much immediately. When I do that release notes thing in my car, sometimes it takes like a minute for that to pop up or a little bit longer. Compared to the Model X, I will say I do miss the driver's display here because not only does the Model X have a bigger, screen in the center here for you, but this whole thing, like look at this huge chunk. It's like a fourth of the screen, or maybe even more than a fourth of the screen is taken up by this. In the Model X, this whole chunk is now over here, and you have a bigger screen to work with. So you have so much more real estate on the center screen in the Model X. I wish there was some type of option. Of course, there's aftermarket accessories you can put here, and yeah, that's fine, I guess, but the problem is you can't remove all of this information once you add one of these aftermarket accessories. If Tesla had some kind of option to be like, make this smaller or make it go away, like I don't want it there, which doesn't really make sense, but like if you could put an aftermarket screen and get rid of this thing, I would do it in a heartbeat, because then I would have so much more usable space on this screen. As it is today, the way things are laid out, I feel it's just a little bit cramped. Also, interior storage in the Model Y, it's not bad by any means, but a Model X is so much roomier. This area in the Model X, this kind of under storage, is so much roomier. There's so much more space down there. And for your armrest in the Model X, again, this area, this storage area down under this is so much more spacious. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but you know, that's, it's a bigger car, it's a more expensive car, so that shouldn't be too surprising. Acceleration, I guess we can talk about, is dramatically slower than the Model X. Comparing long range to long range, it's noticeably slower. You can get the acceleration boost, but even acceleration boosted long range Model Y is slower than the long range Model X, and you can feel it. Although in our Model X, I complained about this sometimes, when you press the accelerator pedal, and get this down here for you, on the Model Y, or sorry, on the Model X, you'd get shudder in here, and you just feel this little, I don't know, shakiness, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it's because of the air suspension or what. Model Y acceleration is so clean every single time. It feels so good. Even though it's slower, it doesn't have quite the shock value that a Model X has. It just feels so clean and so good every time you step on it. Whereas the Model X, I don't know, I couldn't pin it down. Tesla said it was normal, and that's just the way it is in the Model X. Now going to the back seats, we do have the 7-seater Model Y, which I didn't even mention because honestly, I don't even think about it. It's so weird because we opted for the 7-seater and we wanted those extra seats, but of course, 99% of the time, we don't even use them, we don't even think about them. And as far as that goes, everything here up is about the same. So let's talk about the back row. So if you want to use the back row, it's very small. It's for kids. It's not for adults. An adult can squeeze back there for a really short trip if you really need to do that. But the point is, it's for kids. So here we are. We're coming in back. All you got to do is grab this handle. It's kind of weird with me holding the camera, but you grab this little button here. You hear the motor. You can pull it forward, and you gotta, I was too slow with my one hand. And there you go. So because that passenger seat is up, this does lift up and there is room for us to get in. So again, if there's a kid that wants to hop in back here, which we have this one down, you know, so we can put items and stuff back there, but a kid will definitely slide in back there, no problem. Maybe I'll get some footage of my daughter. You can see her getting in there, and she will fit with no issues. Okay, so I'm gonna move this for you.
Can I see it for me?
Yep, and then you're gonna get in and sit back there. How is it? Is it pretty easy to get in there? Or is it hard to get in there?
It's pretty easy.
Pretty easy, all right. And then I'll put this down. And there you go. How do you feel? Do you have enough room?
Yeah.
Can you put your feet down? All right. Do you like sitting back there? Yeah. All right, cool, thank you. So let me flip this up real quick. There you go. So I was able to do that with one hand, no problem. So now we have all the seats. You can see there's a little bit of wrinkling there from it being stored, which is something similar to that actually happened in the Model X. But when you're back there, if you have these seats all the way back, there's literally no room. So what you have to do, let me move it up. So you would go here to this seat, you'd press the button, and you'd move forward just a little bit. There, and now it locks in place right there. So this kid is a little cramped. Driver's gonna have to move up a little bit. Actually, I forgot, I put this seat all the way back to record, so let me restore this to my actual driving position. So there, that's my real driving position. So this is how much room the kid's gonna have, which actually is plenty for our daughter at this point. So that's how much room she'll have. And then whoever's sitting behind her has just this little bit of leg room. Now we should be able to move that seat up a little bit more. Let's try it. So again, you click the button and move it forward, and it locks into place right there. And so she's gonna be pretty cramped there. I could move my seat up more for sure. I'm in a pretty comfortable driving position, but I don't actually need to. She would still fit there. And that is how much leg room the person behind her would have at that position, which I don't think we would move it up anymore. All right, so no big deal. I don't know if you can see my face, but you should be able to hear me. So I am in here. I'm 5'9", so I'm not the tallest, but I am the averagest. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie, my leg room is not bad. Again, I wouldn't want to sit back here for, 5 hours, but I am like, my knees are here. I can sit up straight and my head just touches the glass up here. So let me grab my phone. I'm gonna hop out, grab my phone and bring it in and see if I can show you a little better. This is my leg room. I mean, my knees are right up against here. I wouldn't wanna be back here for 5 hours, but I could sit back here to get to the store. You know, that's 20 minutes away. If we want to go to the restaurant, go to a restaurant with some extra people, we could definitely do that. All right, so I flipped the camera around here. Let's see. That's a pretty good representation. I need to get some help from somebody here to film this, but here's where I'm at. So again, I'm 5'9", and you can see if I put my back all the way back and push my head up, then the top of my head is touching the glass there. And if we look down, you can see that's my leg room. So my hips are all the way back in the seat. Sorry for the crazy camera angles. My hips are all the way back in the seat. And so I can definitely sit here. Not that I'd want to, again, for 5 hours, but I do fit back here if I need to. Now, if somebody hits the brake, oh, I'm done for. So honestly, I'd probably crouch down like this. This is how I would be sitting. And then my head is free to move around. It's not gonna bump into anything. And I'm fitting back here for our trip to the restaurant or to go get ice cream with the friends or whatever. Realistically for us, there's gonna be kids back here. We're gonna have the kids' friends. You do also get headrests back here, so you can put that up. And then, you know, of course, that'll protect you in a crash so you don't get whiplash. And that's right there. You can put it back down with the button here. And there you go. So there's your headrest. You also get, I don't know if I can show them to you, but you do get 2 USB-C ports back here. Whatever, I'll get a picture or whatever, but there are 2 USB-C ports back here, so you can charge your phone back here if you're a passenger. And also, you do get an armrest. So as you can put your arm here and you can rest your arm. Of course, there's no middle armrest, but in the middle, along with those 2 USB-C ports, there are also 2 cup holders. So you can have your drink back here, you can charge your phone, you can kind of do it all just in a cramped space. Now I will say, for whatever reason, I don't know what the difference is in the layout of this car, but for us, we found leaving the 2 back seats up, or as you saw before, just having one down has given us plenty of cargo space back here where we can just leave that up or leave them both up. In the Model X, we always had the 2 back seats all the way down and only put them up if we were going to use them, because the Model X actually only had 6 seats. It had 2, 2, and 2, whereas the Model Y has 2, 3, and 2. So this Model Y actually has 1 extra seat compared to our Model X that we had. The back space here is pretty much identical to older Model Ys, nothing too crazy. You're not really losing, you know, another reason that we went with the 7-seat is you don't really lose any cargo capacity compared to the 5-seat Model Y. Of course, you lose just a little bit because in the 5-seat Model Y, which is what I have, there is a little under storage here. I've literally never used it because I always have floor mats back here. And when you put these down, you can see, look at all that space. It looks exactly like my car. Like, you're not missing anything. You have the same sub trunk here. You can just lift this up and you have all the same space down there. We keep this stroller with us. It's great. The amount of storage you get in here, especially if you're comparing to a Model X, is awesome. A Model X has more. Don't get me wrong. The frunk is bigger, the back is bigger, there's more space overall, but this has so much in the back that you're not really missing much compared to a Model X. And another thing to point out that kind of helped us justify this change is if you do go with this car, you can put roof racks on the top. Whereas the Model X, you can't do that because of the Falcon Wing doors. Now you can put storage on the back with the tow hitch on the Model X, but you can do that on the Model Y as well. So if you have so much crap you got to bring with you on a road trip or something, you could have a roof rack and something on your hitch and just have all that storage. I do want to point out in the side pocket here, the 12 volt, hopefully you can see this right here. Let me pick it up. You do have 12 volt charging back there. A lot of people don't realize that, but it's in that pocket there in the Model Y. Model X has the same. Overall, very happy with our 2023 Model Y purchase. Driving is awesome. We have full self-driving on here, so using beta on this car is awesome. The suspension feels so good. I do really, really miss the automatic doors on the Model X. Not something I thought I would really care about until I lived with it for a while. Overall, highly recommend this car. I think this is one of the best cars. This is probably the best car you can buy in the US right now in terms of value and everything you get, all the features that you get, the safety. I mean, it's the safest car or one of the safest cars in the world. It's fast, it's reliable, great car. Again, I think this is probably the best value you can get if you're shopping in this price range, I guess I should say. But even if you're below this price range and you're like, oh, maybe I could swing it, like swing it. You'll be so happy you did. It's how I got my first Model 3, and it's like the best purchase I've ever made in my life probably. So overall, if you have any questions about 2023 Model Y, leave those down below. I'd be happy to answer those. And you will see me and probably this Model Y in the next video.